Hello BookTube, I'm Jonathan, and I am on a mission. And that mission is to come up with my list of my 10 favorite sci-fi books within each sci-fi subgenre. And it's impossible to read everything within a subgenre, but I think once I have read the most popular, acclaimed, influential books within a subgenre, as well as any others that sound appealing and jump out to me, I think then I am able to put together a respectable list for you guys of my favorites within that subgenre. And so far, I've been able to do that for cyberpunk, first contact, dystopian, and big dumb object books. And the next two subgenres that I want to tackle are time travel and post-apocalyptic books. So today I want to share a bit of a book haul, some recent purchases of mine of books within these subgenres that I want to get to. And this isn't an exhaustive list. There are books that I already own that I still need to read. For example, very soon I plan to get to Kindred by Octavia E. Butler, an author that I'm a fan of. But these are some books that I bought recently that I want to read, and I think probably by the end of this year, I'll be able to complete my time travel top 10 list. And then I think next year, I'll be able to do my post-apocalyptic ranking. And then at the end of the video, I also have a bonus book for you, a special edition of a book within one of these subgenres that I'm already a massive fan of. So stick around for that. And let's get into these books, starting with World War Z by Max Brooks. We survived the zombie apocalypse, but how many of us are still haunted by that terrible time? Told in the haunting and riveting voices of the men and women who witnessed the horror firsthand, World War Z is the only record of the pandemic. Alright, so up first we have World War Z, which combines the post-apocalyptic and zombie subgenres, which is kind of horror, but sometimes, depending on the story, we can kind of claim as sci-fi as well. And with this edition, this paperback that I picked up, it does have stickers on it, or those fake stickers, which I'm not usually a fan of. But if you can see here, they're kind of designed as blood spatter stickers, which I actually think is kind of cool, kind of fits in with the zombie theme. So not normally a fan of the fake stickers, but we'll allow it this time because they at least put a little bit of thought into the design. Now, I have seen the film version with Brad Pitt, although that was a while ago, and I remember thinking it was pretty good, but it didn't leave a huge impression on me. But I liked it enough to check out the book. I've heard that the book is better than the film, or at least from some of you in my comments. That's the opinion that was held. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I'm a touch nervous because it seems like it's told in stories, like there's records from different characters, and as you may know, I prefer novels to short story collections, so hopefully they combine. As long as they sort of connect into a larger overall story, tell a cohesive story, I think I'll be fine with it. If they feel a bit disconnected and they don't really come together, then this might not be one of my favorites within the subgenre, but yeah, I think there's some potential. Let me know if you like this one and if you think I'll enjoy it. All right, moving on, we have our first time travel book, and that is Time and Again by Jack Finney. Transported from the mid-20th century to New York City in the year 1882, C. Morley walks the fashionable Ladies' Mile of Broadway and solves a 20th century mystery by discovering its 19th century roots. Falling in love with a beautiful young woman, he ultimately finds himself forced to choose between his lives in the present and the past. So some of you may be thinking, Jonathan, didn't you just read Time and Again? And the answer to that is yes. But I'm stuck in a time loop and I'm forced to read it again. No, what actually happened is there are two books titled Time and Again. I read the one by Clifford D. Simak, and I loved it. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It was one of my favorite reads of 2025. So that sets a high bar for Time and Again by Jack Finney. So the paperback that I got is this 50th anniversary edition. I'll show it to you. What a quote from Stephen King. The time travel story. The great time travel story. We'll see about that. I'm not even sure it's the great Time and Again. I think that might be Simek. And it also has an introduction by Blake Crouch. And this is kind of interesting because I guess it's somewhat of a special edition, but it's just the paperback. It has art in it. And I'm not really an art historian. So you guys can tell me, I don't know if this is real art or if this was art that was commissioned for the book. I have a feeling this might be existing artwork. But either way, I think that's kind of cool that you get some artwork in the paperback. Time and Again, I'm looking forward to it. I like time travel. The romance can be hit or miss for me, but we'll see if Jack Finney can pull it off. And I've read one book before by Finney, which was The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And I liked that one, but I didn't love it. So hopefully I enjoy this one even more. Let me know what you think. Are you Team Time and Again? Or are you Team Time and Again? And up next, we have The Postman by David Brin. He was a survivor, a wanderer who traded tales for food and shelter in the dark and savage aftermath of a devastating war. Fate touches him one winter's day when he borrows the jacket of a long-dead postal worker to protect himself from the cold. The old worn uniform still has power as a symbol of hope, and with it, he begins to weave his greatest tale. Alright guys, we're back to post-apocalyptic books with The Postman, and I'll be honest, if I were picking a book to read based on the covers in a bookstore, this isn't the cover I would choose. It's a bit boring, it's just The Postman. An episode of Postman Pat looks more intriguing than this, but we're not going to judge the book by the cover. We're going to give it a chance because, as the cover tells us, David Brin is a Hugo and Nebula Award-winning author. I have read one of his books before, Startide Rising, and I was a bit mixed on it. It had some very interesting sci-fi ideas, but didn't really connect with the story. A bit too much dolphin poetry, a bit too much dolphin singing for me. I'm only half kidding. I liked it. I kind of liked it. Hopefully we like The Postman more. Let me know if you've read this one. Hopefully it's as good as Startide Rising, if not better. And hopefully it's a lot better than this cover. Moving on, we have Timeline by Michael Crichton. When archaeologists make a shocking discovery at a medieval site, they are swept off to the headquarters of a secretive multinational corporation that has developed an astounding technology. This group is about to get a chance not to study the past, but to enter it. Alright guys, I take back what I said about the Postman cover because look at this. Look at this. This is lazy. It's just the color mango with the infinity sign and some text. I mean, Michael Crichton is one of the biggest, most successful authors of the 20th century, and this is the amount of effort we're putting into his book covers? Anyway, sorry, The Postman. Timeline. I've read 3 books by Crichton, and I like them all, but they're all in the 4-star range. I'm looking for that 5-star Crichton hit, where he goes from an author that I like to an author that I love, and this book, man, it's also one of those, I actually like mass market paperbacks, but this is, I don't know if you can tell, it's the tall, skinny kind, and I don't love the tall, skinny kind. They seem to, I don't know, I'll check into the first page. Sometimes it's not too bad. The text kind of gets super close to the spine, and it makes for a bit of an unpleasant reading experience. But I'll survive. This one doesn't look too bad, and I do have some other tall, skinny Crichton mass market paperbacks. So at least they're matching on the shelf. Yeah, I like time travel. I like Crichton. Let me know if you think this is going to be my new favorite Crichton. And for our next book, we have The Stand by Stephen King. First came the days of the plague. Then came the dreams, dark dreams that warned of the coming of the dark man, the apostate of death, his worn-down boot heels tramping the night roads, the warlord of the charnel house and prince of evil. His time is at hand, his empire grows in the west, and the apocalypse looms. So for The Stand, I went with just give me a second here. There we go. The complete and uncut edition. This is a bit of a chunker. Let me know if you think I made the right decision, because I think the one that was originally published was around 800 pages, give or take. And I think this one is about 1,200. This is what Stephen King wanted it to be, so I think that's probably the way to go. This particular edition, I think the cover it's okay, it's fine. I don't think it's as good as the original, the first edition classic cover. But at least there's some more thought put into this one. Similar color to Timeline, but some more thought put into the art design. So I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to get to this one for a while because it's so big, it's going to blow up my reading schedule. And I already have a big Stephen King book to read on the schedule. Coincidentally, a time travel book, 11/22/63. So I think I want to get to that one first. That's a priority read for the year. And then if I find time, if I get through some things, I'll get to The Stand. But I am a fan of Stephen King. I've read his Dark Tower series, and I've read The Long Walk. I'm trying to read things of his that are at least kind of somewhat science fiction. Maybe I'll read some of his horror in the future one day, but for now, still focusing on sci-fi, or at least partially sci-fi works. And The Stand, we'll say it counts. It's post-apocalyptic. I'm sure there's some Stephen King weirdness in there, which maybe involves some time travel or something. I don't know. The Dark Tower had all kinds of weird stuff in there. So we'll see what I know there's some connections between the Stand and the Dark Tower. So I'm looking forward to reading those and finding time. Setting aside a couple of weeks to tackle this behemoth. But I know it's some people's favorite King book. So let me know where it ranks for you amongst King novels. And up next, Timescape by Gregory Benford. In the year 1998, a group of scientists worked desperately to communicate with the scientists of 1962, warning of an ecological disaster that will destroy the oceans in the future if it is not averted in the past. Okay, so there's a lot at stake with this book, and that is the Battle of the Gregs. How does Gregory Benford compare to Greg Egan and Greg Bear? Because I absolutely love Greg Egan, Permutation City, one of my favorite books of all time. And Greg Bear, also a great writer. Blood Music in particular, I think is fantastic. So how does Gregory Benford compare with Timescape? I have the SF Masterworks edition. Not bad. I kind of like this cover. It's fairly simple, but I just like the colors. So it just kind of, you look at this and you go, that's a sci-fi book, Just put some purple on the cover and I'll buy it. I'm a simple man. And then we have the kind of controversial SF Masterworks spine, the yellow stained spine. I'll kindly refer to it as. I don't mind it. I like how it kind of jumps off the shelf. It's matching. I think it's eye-catching. Maybe catching your eye for the wrong reasons. I know a lot of people don't like this particular shade of yellow, but it works for me. Anyway, Timescape. I believe this is at the harder end of the sci-fi spectrum. Let me know if that's true. Let me know if the rumors are true about Gregory Benford. People on the street are saying he writes hard sci-fi. And I like that there seems like stakes in this one. Right off the bat, it's like, man, we gotta go back in time and avoid something really bad happening. So maybe this is going to combine the time travel and apocalypse subgenres, because it seems like there's a lot at stake. So I'm on board. I'm looking forward to this one. This is my first Benford book. Hopefully I like it. Moving on, we have The Man Who Folded Himself by David Gerald. When Daniel Eakins inherits a time machine, he soon realizes that he has enormous power to shape the course of history. He can foil terrorists, prevent assassinations, or just make some fast money at the racetrack. But Dan soon finds that there are limits to his powers and forces beyond his control. So this seems like a rather basic premise for a time travel story, although I am a fan of the title, The Man Who Folded Himself. What does that mean exactly? I'm going to have to find out. And I do like that format for a title as well. The Man Who Something. We've seen that with The Man Who Japed by Philip K. Dick and The Man Who Fell to Earth by Walter Tevis. So it'll be interesting to see how it compares to other The Man Who books that have been written. And some The Woman Who books that have been written. Let me know if you know any sci-fi books that start off with that in the title. So I like the promise of the title. Not a fan of the paperback, all right? First of all, it kind of has that weird aspect ratio where it feels slightly too wide. I see this in self-published books sometimes. I don't know why they get published in this weird aspect ratio. And then the graphic design could use some work. There's some text overlapping, I'll show you here, in the 21st Century Edition sticker. And then, yeah, these graphics, these kind of like images of these guys are a little bit goofy. I feel like I'm looking at sort of like a fancy dress holiday Halloween party at the office or something. This is what Greg wears to the Halloween party in the accounting department every year. But anyway, yeah, I just saw the price on the back of this book as well, and it made me sad. I don't even want to say it out loud. I don't want to even say how much this book costs. I feel like it's overpriced, especially considering look how thin this book is. It's only 120 pages. Why are we charging $18.95 for this weirdly widely shaped paperback? Anyway, I'm going to forgive it these quirks though, because this book was out of print, I believe. And so I'm glad it's back in print. At least you can buy it, at least you can read it. So I'm glad they made it. I was able to pick it up. Maybe looking for a secondhand copy might be a better option than this one. But anyway, at least we got our hands on it. And it sounds pretty good. I believe this was nominated for a Hugo. I've heard some good things about it, so it's a quick read. I'll get through this one quickly. Hopefully I like it. All right, that brings us to the final book in today's video, and that is a special edition, one from Folio Society of Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. The lead actor in a production of King Lear has a heart attack on stage. The same night, a devastating pandemic hits the city. 20 years later, a traveling symphony walks across the land, trying to keep music and theatre alive in a violent post-apocalyptic landscape as a series of strange twists of fate connect them all. So sometimes publishers will reach out and ask if they can send me a book, which is very kind of them, but usually I say no. Usually I'll only accept a book if it's something that I genuinely really do want to read right away, or, as in this case, it's a special edition of a book that I really love. And that doesn't really happen a lot, but luckily it did here, as I was very excited to hear from Folio Society when they said that they were releasing a copy of Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Because not only do I love this book, it's one of my favorites that I read last year, up there with Time and Again by Simak. I'm just a big fan of Folio Society. I'll throw up a picture of my folio collection. They have some great science fiction books, some of my favorites here, so I was looking forward to seeing what they did with Station 11. So here is the new folio edition of Station 11, and I'll show it to you here, but because the book itself has some green in it, the green screen effect might mess with the coloring, so I'll throw up some pictures for you as well. But the slipcase has a location from the book, and then as we take out the book itself, we have that same location, but now we can see it pre and post apocalypse, which I think is a really nice touch, and they do the same on the back as well. So I think that is a really nice little detail, and I think they did a good job with the spine. I like it when the title pops so that you can see it easily on the shelf, and I think they did a good job with that here. So I'll just quickly jump in with some pictures in order to help do the coloring and artwork justice. I'm a big fan of the quality of the materials and the attention to detail in terms of capturing the vibe and atmosphere from the book. So I'm very glad to have this as a part of my collection. This particular edition is priced at $85, which is a premium price point, a very special purchase. But if this is a special book to you, consider checking it out, as well as the rest of the latest collection from Folio Society, which also includes The Martian by Andy Weir, which I know many of us are a fan of. Folio Society releases a number of different genres, and they do a decent job of releasing sci-fi, but Folio Society, if you're listening, more sci-fi, please. So there you go, that is the book haul for today's video. I hope this inspired you to pick up some time travel or post-apocalyptic books, and if you've read some of these already, let me know your thoughts on them in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash or just gently click the subscribe button, and if you really enjoyed it, consider checking out the perks of becoming a Patreon member, where you can become one of my robots, androids, or cyborgs, like Nima, A New Eden, Half-Ogre, Zakawe, Samil, Colin, and the Timeless Bamsis. And you can find more sci-fi content over here.